afternoon, and welcome to this week's episode of LevelUp Cyber. My name is Tony Bryan, your host and Executive Director of CyberUp. Very excited about today's discussion. I feel like I say very excited every time I start the show. Need a new adjective, but it doesn't change the enthusiasm I have around today because it is a topic that is really near and dear to my heart, which is the idea of cybersecurity competitions and eSports. Many of you know I'm an avid gamer. Hello, test. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I was going to have you introduce yourself. Where you're from, who you're with, and how you got here.
Hey, Tony, thank you so much for having me. I'm Jessica Gulick. I am the U.S. Cyber Games Commissioner and founder and CEO of Play Cyber. I started my career in cyber well over 25 years ago. And over that career, I discovered that by blending sports and cybersecurity, we can not only have a lot of fun, learn a lot, but we can start to advance the human aspect of cybersecurity in terms of team performance, high-performing teams for security operations centers. So super excited to talk today about that kind of intersection between esports, cybersecurity, and athletics, and how we're making it happen over at the U.S. Cyber Games.
So, one, I want to apologize. We are having some snafus. I'm having snafus about internet connection, so it's nothing on Jess's end. So if it does cut out, that is on me. So, man, thank you so much again for joining us and just for the introduction for that, for the U.S. Cyber Games. What is it that kind of got you involved, right? You've been in the cybersecurity space for a while, and I think you made a decision around like why competitions and capture the flags were such an important part of this. What made
Yeah, so my story actually started many moons ago at what many recognize as the U.S. Cyber Patriot program, which is a well-respected, wonderful program at the high school level. I was at the pilot that they did down in Florida, visiting my team. At the time, I was with a company called SAIC. We were down there helping them with the pilot, and I got to see firsthand that kids came into the program not thinking about a career in cyber. This is, have you, about 10 years ago now. They didn't know what cyber looked like many of us, much less how to experience or what a career might be other than thinking about coding, if you will. And I got to watch them over a series of hours really take on this defensive game and the teamwork and collaboration and everything really that energy and spirit, if you will, that comes from playing a competitive sport. Was very much there. And at the end of the day or 2 days, there was a survey that was given out, and the majority were then interested in cybersecurity careers and education. And what I realized is by making cyber hands-on, if you will, and bringing that competitive spirit to it, it really gives us the opportunity to not only have a safe place to hack, a wonderful place to really push ourselves past the limits to see what we can really do, but also to collaborate as a team. And it just changes your whole perspective of cybersecurity and opens up the aperture for many people who haven't thought about a cybersecurity career. You move past that. A couple of years later, I had the opportunity to start something called the Maryland Cyber Challenge and Conference, MDC3 in Maryland, with several other people. It wasn't just me. But the point is that by focusing something like that Cyber Patriot onto a single state, we got to see not just 1, 2, or 10 people that wanted to look at cyber education, but we saw an entire state over the period of less than 2 years go from having all boys in computer clubs at maybe 10 to 15 people per high school to some of the high schools having 2 clubs because each club had over 80 students in it. And it really just kind of opened it up. Move forward even further along the timeline, and we tested out and we said, hey, we have this wonderful esport arena, HyperX, at Las Vegas. We're going there for Black Hat. Shout out to all those that are at Black Hat today and all this week. Miss you. Wish I was there. But we had this wonderful event as part of the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu in 2019, where we brought colleges there and they competed. They were co-ed teams, and they competed over the Circadian's platform, right there live on the stage, and we had it live streaming. We had shoutcasters, kind of giving that esport feel, if you will, and it created so much energy in the marketplace, and renewed my love for the sport, if you will. And from then, it just was a matter of months before we turned around and started Play Cyber and said, let's go after this and see if we can really make cybersecurity an esport.
I love that. It's one of those things I've seen, much like Maryland, to watch San Antonio have very similar success with what they've done. Another, LA's done a really good job in LA Unified School District. And it really is an incredible thing to see just communities rally around, whether it be,
So Tony, we're still having some issues with the audio. Yeah, I can. Let me take it forward and tell you what we did. Almost 4 years ago, we had the opportunity to represent the United States in an international game, the International Cybersecurity Challenge. So we founded this organization called US Cyber Games, and it runs the program very similar to athletics. Because if you look at the athletic community over the last decade, if not hundreds of years, it's done a fabulous job of reaching into the club level, if you will, high schools and colleges nationwide. So we said, okay, if we ran this like a sport, what would it look like? So we have our tryouts in May. From the tryouts, those that apply are then invited to a virtual combine, if you will. And at the virtual combine, the coaches and mentors are really evaluating the athlete's perspective of, how good are they at the skills? How good are they at teamwork and leadership? How do they deal with problems and issues? And we're evaluating them on a number of different criteria that we have so that we can draft them into an actual, what I call semi-pro team. So this is one level, if you will. I mentioned earlier Cyber Patriot being at the high school. You have CCDC at the college level. You have the National Cyber League at the college level. This sits, a couple of feet into the college level, but more going into that semi-pro, really trying to bridge the students from college education to a job in cybersecurity and exploring in depth some of the areas of crypto, forensics, web security, binary exploitation, reverse engineering, AI, cloud security, you name it, that really intersects with cybersecurity. We train them over virtual and in-person camps, and then we travel around the world and face off against other teams from over 7 different regions representing over 50 different nations worldwide. It's a very unique experience that opens up our athletes to travel, to represent the nation, to meeting other folks at various different countries, so that they can start building their network that they will depend on for the rest of their career. It's a very unique and special opportunity that only the top talent in the United States really has access to. But to bring this program to the marketplace, we have a grant, if you will, collaborative agreement with NIST, who provides us some funding for the program. We have sponsorships with organizations like CISA, Nightwing, and MasterCard, and many others that help to make this a reality and an opportunity very unique for ages 18 to 25 across the nation.
As you look to kind of the next couple of years, how large do you see the kind of cyber games becoming for this, right? I mean, obviously we're in the middle of the Olympics, right? As we're going through this, and it's been fun to watch this year because it really has seemed to be an incredible rally of the world, if you will, to come together for some of these things. So I mean, and obviously we hope U.S. Cyber Games be the same. But where do you see kind of the future of U.S. cyber games evolving? We're only 2 or 3 years into it.
Absolutely. I think that over the next few years, we're going to see a lot more research coming out from the students and from really applying the sport environment that they're immersed in, if you will, and some of the esport elements, best practices that we're leaning on to accelerate and advance our team's skills and ability to compete. I think that you'll see that we'll scale out the program. So we have many more pipelines into the United States. We really are looking for top talent and aptitude and trainable. We have a program called the Pipeline. So if you don't make the team in sports, you have like a red shirt, right? You still get to practice. In US Cyber Games, if you don't make the team, but you show a lot of promise, we put you in what's called the Pipeline program. So you train with the coaches in winter. And that helps a lot of the students if they're really at that young age, they have lots of aptitude, but may not had a lot of experience and immersion into this area. They get to spend some time with those that are training top talent and then have a better position going into the next year's combine. We'll continue to scale it out. I'd love to find a home for us. I'd love to be able to provide more access to games across the nation to help really start to solidify what does the cyber sport look like, and then start streaming it more and more. And the reasons is because it creates these digital echoes, if you will. To date, cyber games have done a great job about the player, right? It's focused on the individual playing the game. We're focused more on the team sport aspect of it. And once we start playing and we start streaming and shoutcasting and talking about what's going on, and you can kind of shoulder surf what does hacking look like? What does defense look like? And we have these experts talking about what's a purple team, a blue team, a red team. Why are they important? What does a typical hack look like? All of this creates the digital echoes, if you will, that really start to gravitate us to cybersecurity discussions at the kitchen table. And that's what we're aiming for. When I go and I talk to an audience, I always ask, how many are you in esports? Maybe 10% raise their hand. How many have done a cyber CTS? Less than 10% open will raise their hand depending on where I'm at. And then I said, okay, so how many just participated in sports? How many know what a special teams look like? How many know what, the difference between a quarterback and a wide receiver? And notoriously, everybody's hands will go up because everybody understands sports metaphors. They understand the roles, the language, etc. And so when we start to communicate cybersecurity like that, we're opening up our parents, our grandparents, our neighbors to understanding what we do in cybersecurity, why it's important, and how we're making a difference in defending our digital assets, our digital identity, and our digital economy.
Do you find that there are people that just don't participate because out of fear that they're going to look silly, right? I know we've had a lot of students over the years, like, there's this hesitation, like, I don't want to be the person to hold them back or this. What advice would you give to individuals that are maybe having that inner
Yeah, absolutely. The imposter syndrome is real no matter what career field you're in. But in cybersecurity in particular, it can be felt quite hard, if you will. We have that happen a lot. But at the same time, we provide as much opportunity as we can. So in the US Open, it's free to everybody. It doesn't matter your age. We have the beginner level, and then we have the advanced competitive level. And it's funny because we have a lot of newbies come in at the beginner level, or classrooms leverage it to introduce people to cybersecurity games. And that's wonderful. And even some of the advanced folks will dabble in the beginners just to kind of warm up, if you will, their mental brain as they're trying to tackle some sophisticated challenges. We've taken some of these challenges to an indoor track meet in Chicago, South Chicago, and introduced it to athletes that were competing to go to nationals in track that have never talked about crypto before, that have never really looked at a problem set that has to do with web security before. We've worked with them and mentored them and kind of demystified it by leveraging games. We take it to career exploration camps, and we talk to students about team aspect of cyber, because too often our TV shows and everybody portrays this guy in a hoodie that's at a keyboard, working alone, doing a lot of coding. And the reality is cyber is a team sport. When you really start to get into your career, you're not alone, you're working with others. And the more we can talk about that, the more it really opens it up to the people that would feel imposter syndrome or be nervous about playing games. The other thing, Tony, that I would share is that we have a program called wicked6.com. You can check it out. It's for women. It usually runs the end of March, Women's Month. And what we have found over the last few years, this is a 24-hour hack and chat. We have 6 game platforms that promote their games during this event and open it up. Women come in from all over the world and they play for 24 hours on various different games, sometimes as an individual, mostly as a team, just women that they've met in Discord at this particular event. And what we found is about 20% of our attendees never have been in a cyber game before. So it's a great opportunity for them just to relax, have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and chat, meet other women from around the world and play a couple of games together, whether they're watching somebody share their screen or they're trying to do it themselves. It just gives an opportunity to dabble, if you will, in cyber games and see if it's for them.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I just know that it is such a struggle, right? I've done CTF. I took my kids several years ago, and I just felt overwhelmed.
Man, the audio. Tony, I still don't know. I can't hear you. I know Tony wanted me to talk a little bit about that intersection between esports and cyber and where to get started. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just kind of carry on the conversation. I don't normally like to do all the talking here, but what we've seen is that many high schools and some colleges around the nation are blending esports and cybersecurity together for a number of different reasons. One, money, resources. The same lab that you leverage for cybersecurity games and training, you can leverage for esport gaming as well. There's a lot of similarities. There's also quite a bit of overlap in the student population that are interested in esports, tend to have the same skills that we're looking for in cybersecurity. A typical esport career can last you about 10 years, they say, based on current research, where cybersecurity can last a lifetime. Similar to sports again, where you have, let's say, a football player who goes pro and they want to play for maybe 10, 15 years, but because of physical strain, if you will, from the sport, it doesn't really give them an option when they're in their 40s and 50s. They go and seek other careers. Well, cybersecurity is a great fit for those that start in esports and want to move in. And for high schools and colleges, by blending the programs, you can actually help to secure esports itself, like the attacks that really focus on esport games, esport tournaments, etc., trying to use cybercrime to steal identities and money or just to create a havoc. But you can also look at it from a standpoint of a full cyber career. Today's cyber careers allow you to work anywhere, sometimes in a very flexible schedule that allows you to professionally play while you're still working. So there's a lot of similarities that schools can take a look at, from shared resources, targeting of students for a recruitment standpoint, and then just giving them additional technical skills as they are also trying to hone their esports skills.
What are some ways, I mean, I'm sure there are companies listening to this, right? What are ways that companies could get involved and support US cyber games and maybe, get involved, whether it be from a competitor standpoint, if the ages are appropriate, or sponsorship, or, coaching? I know you guys are always looking for coaches and mentors.
We seek out coaches every year. We have a coaching application process on our website, uscybergames.com. We are always looking for great academic institutions to partner with. So there's plenty of opportunity if institutions just want to spread the word, or if they want to sponsor or get more involved and exhibit and be part of our events. There's a lot of affordable opportunities. For companies in the industry, we'd love sponsorship from dollars and in kind. We are trying to provide equipment and training and travel for these athletes for 12 months a year. So you really are sponsoring a team. This isn't like sponsoring a single CTF. We hold many CTFs throughout the year. We do capture the flag, and we do attack and defense, and lots of different programs that are in and around that space, if you will. So we're really more of a 12-month program that you're sponsoring. So there's plenty of opportunity to come in at any level. In terms of technical mentorship, we're actively looking for crypto experts that want to help contribute time and mentorship to the program, actively looking for those that just want to create challenges. We offer small stipends for challenges so that we can continue to keep the games fresh. And then, of course, you can always play. So we have students playing up to the age of 25 for the co-ed team, and for the women's team up to 29. Love to hear from everybody out there that's interested. You can reach me just by commenting on the form on uscybergames.com, via LinkedIn, or via X at CyberRiskLady.
So as we look, where do you see the future, right, of this kind of going? What role does AI play? Does that help make challenges easier? Like, where does I feel like we can't talk for 30 minutes without saying those two letters. So let's add it. So, what role do you see AI playing in some of these things? Because I could see where it would be a massive advantage to help solve some problems and things that, for some of those simpler things. But I would assume, it goes both ways, not just from a answering questions piece, but also creating a challenge, because that is such an important part.
AI is going to have, I believe, a fundamental shift on cyber games, just like it will for everything else. We're looking at it as we plan out this year's international championship. What are some of the AI challenges? How do you hack AI? That kind of a thing. So we'll have it come in as challenges. Last year, we did not rule it out. So players were allowed to use it, and many did. So it does advance their skill set, similar to what it does for everybody else. So it allows them to be faster, allows them to go through data faster, allows them to, run programs faster. So the reality is, we don't want to stay away from AI. We want to accept it and learn how it's going to impact, because like anything else, we're providing a safe place to fully comprehend the security advantages and security risks along with AI. I do think it will fundamentally change how we play. But again, no matter what advanced tools we use as a nation or throughout the world to either hack or to defend in the digital space, we're always going to have the human aspect. We're always going to need the human in the middle to understand what we're doing, why we're doing, what we're going to do with it. Things are going to get a lot more complicated and a lot faster. So we need to train as humans as well. Our athletes train at the highest level, and they're preparing for what the future holds now that AI is a reality, and how it will change our cyber domain, if you will, in the future. They'll be practicing in the game, so they're prepared once they get that job and start with their careers.
So we take this back just a little bit sooner. We talked a little bit about 18, and you alluded earlier a lot of great programs for youth to get involved in it. But it is such an important part, especially for young students, to start to get into these ideas and start to look at it. If I was a community or a school or maybe a nonprofit, where would you advise me to kind of turn to start looking for options or things for me to introduce to my students or resources?
There are so many wonderful options out there. So many. You can go to the National Cyber League. You can go to the NSA CAE program. They have several resources online. A program called Ring is reaching out to the various different schools to provide curriculum and game opportunities and such. CTFs, or capture the flag, as we've been talking about, are very affordable to run in schools. There are a number of programs that teach teachers how to build a capture the flag contest for your students. You can then teach the students to help create the challenges that will live on. There are so many different ways that you can get into cyber through gaming and get the resources that you need for your school district. It's a matter of researching it. It's a matter of reaching out to folks like US Cyber Games, and we'll be happy to give you some resources and links to go to get more information. But it's really important from our perspective that we communicate that capture the flag is not just math problems, in the classroom, but you can actually become part of a team. That helps students realize that if they start in middle school and high school, they're working towards something, right? Their time at Cyber Patriot, their time at CCDC is really prepping them and preparing them for the future. And if they want to stay in the game, they have an opportunity to play with us. And we're hoping that it inspires the next generation. We're hoping that it reinvigorates the current generation to have somebody to cheer for, right? They're a national team.
Yeah, I've always been under the impression that even if a student doesn't take cyber or a STEM or technical field, they're going to be better off if they're a banker or a nurse or whatever it is, just to be cyber informed, because it is such an important part of just our day to day as we move forward that, even as they get into it, to your point earlier, the competition, the teamwork side, all those are life skills that are applicable in so many things. And to come out of it, to have a little bit more cyber awareness that makes you more vigilant, I think is not a terrible thing to do that. I know for us, the competition piece, because it can be overwhelming to find how, to your point, there is a lot of resources out there. But you gave a great list that I would, stomp my foot for folks to jump into and really lean into those as a great resource. Let's say I wanted to go in and get my city or my county really excited about this, right? Much like the San Antonio idea is done, because it is an important part. How will we rally around? Like, I think of just, I'm in St. Louis. How do I rally St. Louis City to get excited about this so that it trickles to the public schools? And there's this whole ecosystem of just cyber stuff happening. Where would you start or recommend somebody start there?
So a bit biased on that. That is what Play Cyber is all about. We help communities understand how they can leverage gaming, cyber gaming into their communities to help build out their STEM education, if you will, their STEM opportunities, and ultimately upskill their jobs in that community. So there's plenty of opportunity if they want to reach out. We'd be happy to talk with them at playcyber.com. What we really see that has been effective is running a program that starts with career exploration, that starts to comprehend what is the cyber career opportunity, if you will, who should be interested and who has good aptitude to it. And then work from there into introducing them slowly into games, if you will, through Capture the Flag, job fairs, and then get them into certifications and education programs, and then get them into apprenticeships, internships, and jobs. So it's an excellent way to really help grow any kind of community. The beauty of it is many cyber jobs. Again, you can work from virtual opportunities are there. You can have very flexible jobs. They don't have to be 40 hours a week. They could be part-time jobs. It's high-end skills that are in demand. So the pay is great. So there's plenty of opportunity. There's not a lot of barriers, right? I mean, if you can have a computer and get online, you can have a job in cyber. And you can start off at an entry-level position and you can advance throughout from K to Gray, I believe it was, Tony, that you mentioned the other day, which I loved, right? Gives you plenty of opportunity. And I'm sure working with your organization as well can provide them more information on how to do some of that.
Of my terrible internet today. I have no idea why. I've always had really good internet, so appreciate that. But everybody gets the same last question. What advice would you give to somebody to level up their cybersecurity career?
Be fearless and persevere. Be fearless and persevere. Don't let I don't know stop you. And don't let mistakes or perceived failures stop you. Let me answer it this way. What I love about cybersecurity, it values curiosity. It values sharing and, mentorship and working with others, because it's a trade craft. right? It's something that we're always constantly learning. If you have an interest, you might not have an aptitude, you might have zero education, but if you have an interest, our community is here for you. Just show curiosity and perseverance. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know how to code. You don't have to be incredibly good at math. It's a cyber ecosystem, meaning there are so many different kinds of jobs. You can be in art and have a wonderful job in cyber. You can be in law and have a wonderful job in cyber. You can be in finance and get well paid in cyber. There are so many different aspects of the cyber ecosystem that are open to you, that it's going to take an entire community, a world community, really for us to protect our online opportunities. I encourage you to be fearless and to persevere and to follow your dreams and do what you love.
Some great advice. I really like the idea around the trade aspect, because you really are constantly learning. And I think it's a great mindset to walk into it, is constantly try to think of ways to get better every single day. So thank you again for your patience with the crazy internet and connection and the lack of my camera. But thank you for such a great topic and a really good kind of insight into this. I encourage those, if you haven't, jump in and look at US Cyber Games, check out Play Cyber. Jess has built an incredible organization with a lot of incredible support, like Brad Wolfington, right? Of folks that are really rallied around this, and incredible humans. So I encourage you to reach out, check out what they're doing, and get involved. So Jess, thank you so much for the show today.
Thank you, Tony.